Lesson 3.3, rate of change and slope. Our objective today is to use rate of change to solve problems and to also find slope of a line. So you will find out how these two are very much related and very similar. The rate of change, or slope, it's on average how much one quantity changes in relation to another. So a rate is given with basically 2 units, like miles per gallon or something like that. That could be considered a rate. It is similar to finding slope, which you'll see here with this first example. So the first example uses U.S. passports issued. So in 2002, there were 7 million issued. In 2004, 8.9 million issued. And in 2006, 12.1 million issued. So it's definitely on the rise. We find the rate from 2004 to 2006. You would use rate of change, and hopefully this looks very familiar to you when we find it, but rate of change would be something like this. Y2 minus Y1 and X2 minus X1. What I'm going to tell you is that for, it says from 2004 to 2006, for 2004, I could write an ordered pair 2004 and 8.9, and we know that's in millions. And for 2006, that would be a 12.1. And those, putting them as ordered pair, then make it easy to use the slope formula and plugging the values in and solving. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So Y2 minus Y1 would be 12.1 minus 8.9. And X2 minus X1 would be basically 2006 minus 2004. So 12.1 minus 8.9, 3.2 over 2, and we would say 1.6 million per year. That's the rate. 1.6 million passports issued per year. So you're basically using a slope formula, and you're finding the rate of change over a period of time or something similar to that. All right, we are going to change gears slightly because we just said rate of change and slope are basically the same thing, but now we're going to just talk about lines. Find a slope of a line between 2 points, and I want you to know that you could do either the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, if you're given those 2 points just listed on the page. Or you could count for slope the rise over run if you're given those as a graph. So be prepared to do both, and I think in enrichment class we've already done both. Just a general overview of slopes of lines. Remember that you read a graph from left to right, and when you read a graph from left to right, if the line generally moves uphill, then it would be a positive slope. So after you calculate it, make sure that it came out positive. All right, if it goes downhill, it would be negative. Make sure it comes out negative. Make sure your lines make sense. All right, and then let's remember that if it is completely horizontal, completely flat, think about what happens at perfect north slopes when it would be completely flat. That would be zero fun, and that's why it is a zero slope. And then the one that would be completely vertical at perfect norths, we said that you would say, oh no, all the way down. So those are undefined or no slope. It's considered undefined or no slope. And you can say either one. So what we are going to do then at this point is we're going to find slope. We're going to practice doing a couple of them where they give us two ordered pair. And we'll work these out. Remember, if you really want to go back to the where we started in pre-algebra with this, you would take the first point and label it x1, y1 and x2, y2. And write the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you label it, then you know exactly what to fill in the right spot. So you look for y2, and that would be 5. And y1, that would be 2. 5 minus 2. x2 would be 5 minus x1 is negative 3. And right off the bat, I see something we need to do. We don't deal with double signs, so you would immediately change that to one sign, being plus. Okay, the top would be 5 minus 2, 3, and the bottom 5 plus 3, 8. Nothing can reduce. You don't have to worry about any signs, so the slope of that line would be 3/8. Remember, if one of them comes out negative, the top or the bottom, then you bring the negative out in front. If one's negative, then the overall slope is negative. If they're both negative, the two negatives cancel it out, and it becomes a positive. All right, this one, negative 3, 4, and 4, 4. And I would do x1, y1, x2, y2. And m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 4 minus 4 on top, 4 minus negative 3 on the bottom. Again, I see that, and I've got to change it to one sign, which would be plus. And then I look, and 4 minus 4 puts 0 on top over 7. Now, 0 divided by anything is what?
0.
So it would be 0. And 0 is an answer. What kind of line is that? 0 slope. What's the line look like? Horizontal. It would be a line that looks like that. Okay? Do not leave it in this form. Do not leave it in that form. Not that. Make sure you put 0. That is the correct answer, 0. Okay, let's do one more. 6, 2, and 6, negative 3. So x1, y1, x2, y2. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 3 minus 2, 6 minus 6. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5 over 0. If you would put negative 5 over 0 in a calculator to try to solve, does anybody know what would happen? Josh? You'd get an error because you cannot divide by 0. That is your clue that it really is undefined. And that's what you should write. So if the 0's on the bottom, it's undefined. We have done several of those where you've solved it last year in pre-algebra, you did it in enrichment, so you've had a lot of practice at those. Don't forget about the 0 part. That's sometimes the last thing kids get down pat. Now, the last thing that we do need to talk about is something that we haven't done before. There is two ordered pair. There are two ordered pair, but one of the coordinates is missing. It's r. But the slope is given. So what your job is to figure out what R is. And here's how you would do it. M equals 2. So I'm going to say 2 equals 9 minus 3, y2 minus y1, over x2 minus x1, 5 minus r. Now, what can I do with that 2 so I have a proportion? Put it over 1. And now I'm ready to do cross cross. 2 times the quantity 5 minus r equals 6. Everybody see where I got 6? 9 minus 3 is 6, and 6 times 1, 6. So 10 minus 2r equals 6, and then you proceed to solve. It's a two-step equation. Subtract 10. Negative 2r equals negative 4, and divide by negative 2. R would be positive 2. Questions about that? Ben? Okay. What's 9 minus 3 right here? 6. 6 times 1? There you go. That's where we got it. We got another shot right here. 5, 9, and r negative 3, and the slope is negative 4. So let's start with our formula, thinking m equals. So negative 4 equals. What would y2 minus y1 be? Negative 3 minus 9, right? What would x2 minus x1 be? R minus 5. Okay, I'm going to put the negative 4 over 1. Now, just for the sake of making this a little more clear, what's negative 3 minus 9? Negative 12, right, over R minus 5. Now, let's cross, okay? Ben, did you see where I got negative 12?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take negative 4 times the quantity R minus 5, and on the other side, I'm going to take 1 times negative 12. Does that help you a little bit better? Instead of just writing it. So I'm going to take and distribute negative 4. Negative 4r plus 20. Alright, so negative 4r plus 20 equals negative 12. Is everybody clear where I've gotten all that from so far at this point? Is there anybody unsure? Okay, I need to solve my two-step equation now. Subtract 20. So negative 4r, cross those out, equals negative 32. Divide by negative 4, and r equals 8. So you set up the proportion by plugging in. So basically you're using this formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You put the slope in here that they give you, put it over 1. Plug in the y2 minus y1, the x2 minus x1, plug that in, cross, cross, and you will have an equation that you solve. Do distributive property, and then solve the two-step equation from there that finds the value of r.